Hello campers and used car buyers. This is the Suburban Camper, and in this video I will share 12 tips for buying a used car. For those of you who are new to this channel, it focuses on utilizing a Chevy Suburban to camp just about anywhere and be prepared for anything. I've done a complete series of videos on how to locate, inspect, and buy a used Chevy Suburban, but this video applies to any used vehicle. So why am I qualified to provide tips on buying used cars? Well, over the past 37 years, I've owned or utilized 26 vehicles, and 20 of those were used cars. Over the past 6 years, it's been a bit of a hobby for me to research vehicles, buy the ones I find intriguing, fix them up, drive them for a while, and then sell them. And in this time frame, I purchased 12 used cars and sold 8 of them. My current fleet consists of my 2000 Chevy Suburban, which is the star of this channel. I bought this 167,000 mile garage beauty from the original owner for $3,800. My wife's 2012 VW GTI, which she loves. We drove 3 hours to buy this low mileage, one owner vehicle to get her exactly what she wanted, and we paid $12,000 for this a few years ago. A 2004 VW Jetta 1.8 liter turbo, which I bought for my daughter while she was home during the pandemic, and now it's my fun little grocery getter. I paid $2,500 for it. And a 2004 Honda Accord with 307,000 miles on it. That's right, 307,000. The previous owner just did not want to put any more money into it, so I bought it for $650 so I could use it to learn more about fixing cars. Now, I'd like to point out you should not buy a used vehicle unless you are willing and able to put $1,000 to $2,000 per year into it for maintenance and repairs. The idea that you are going to buy an inexpensive used car and drive it forever without putting any money into it is not in the least bit realistic. With that in mind, here is the total cost of each of my vehicles to date, including the purchase cost and repairs. The Suburban has $5,500 in it, and I'm about to spend another $2,000 on it. Keep in mind, it is 21 years old. The VW GTI has $13,500 in it because direct injection vehicles must have the valves cleaned. The Jetta totals $5,700. We did some initial repairs right after we bought it, and a few months later some engine mount bolts broke, which could have been catastrophic, but we caught it in time and just had to replace the timing belt. I love the 1.8 liter turbo engine, but it's a love-hate relationship, as I will explain in a bit. And the Accord is up to a whopping $1,700. It runs great and looks pretty darn good. My son is now driving this car and he loves the VTEC power. So, 4 cars for a total of $26,400 compared to the average price of $40,472 for one new car these days. In addition to my experience buying and selling used cars, I spent 25 years working in the automotive industry, and while I never sold cars, I'm familiar with how car dealers operate. So, with all that in mind, here is what I have learned. I will begin by saying the best source to find a great used car is to buy it directly from the original owner. I always start out with the goal of buying from an original owner who has clearly done a good job of maintaining the vehicle and they have proof of the mechanical maintenance completed over the life of the car. It is not always easy to achieve this goal, and you will likely need to invest more time and effort, but my experience tells me it is well worth the investment. With that said, my 12 used car buying tips are focused on helping you achieve this goal, but you can apply nearly all of them no matter what source you purchase a used vehicle from. Okay, let's assume we are looking for a practical and reliable vehicle and we have up to $7,000 to spend. Let's see what's out there. I will select the For Sale by Owner option and then filter it down to the $5,000 to $7,000 price range. Check out this nice looking 1998 Chevy truck with low miles. The price seems high, but it looks like it's been very well taken care of and it has a clean title. It's a plain base model with a V6, two-wheel drive, and a basic cab. Most people want a V8, four-wheel drive, and an extended cab, so you may be able to get a good deal on it. It would make a great work truck, and with the long bed and the nice looking topper, it's also ready to be a camper. The ad is brief and a little quirky. I think they meant to say it is not leaking or burning any fluids. Anyway, we have a vehicle, so let's dive into the 12 tips. Tip number 1, clean title. You will be tempted by the prices of a salvage title vehicle, but you should only buy one with a clean title. A salvage title is a black hole of mystery, and even if you have a complete documented history of the repairs and everything looks like it's been properly repaired, there is no way of being 100% sure the vehicle has been restored to its original condition. Even if they got it 99% right, that 1% could turn out to be a nightmare. There are plenty of clean title vehicles out there for sale, and it's just not worth the chance they got something wrong on a salvage vehicle no matter how low the price is. Our truck has a clean title, so we can move forward with it. Tip number 2, title in owner's name. If you're buying from a private party, this will help you avoid curbed vehicles, which are dealer vehicles listed and presented as for sale by owner. This is how some dealers make some quick cash on vehicles they do not want to put out on their lot. For example, it could be a trade-in that does not meet their standards for vehicle age, condition, etc. And rather than auction it off at wholesale price, they will try and sell it at a low retail price. It may very well be a great used car, but outside of a Carfax, you're not going to get a complete history on the vehicle or be able to question the previous owner, which is a great way to uncover issues, as most people tend not to be good liars. Also, keep in mind what the dealer is doing may be illegal, so beware. Now, all that said, remember my Jetta? Well, I can't say for sure, but I'm pretty sure it was a curbed vehicle. The guy was selling it for his brother-in-law who recently moved and decided not to take the vehicle with him. Overall, the Jetta is in good shape, looks and runs great, but it has several dings and small dents. Now that I've had some time to reflect on the transaction, the guy I bought it from seemed like he might be in the business. He had a copy of a Carfax on his phone, and he was not really open to me contacting his brother-in-law, which leads me to believe he was probably a dealer, and the dings and dents meant it was not a lot-worthy vehicle, so the story about the brother-in-law was probably not true. Oh well, my daughter loved driving it, and now I do too. And back to our truck. The ad does not say anything about the title being in the owner's name, so this is a question that needs to be asked up front. Tip number 3, cash is king. Set your budget and have that amount of cash on hand so you can move quickly when you find what you are looking for. This is especially the case if you achieve the goal of finding a one-owner vehicle in great shape from a private party. Those always sell quickly. My Suburban was a great example of this. I was able to get the first shot at it, but they had another buyer coming right after me, and sure enough, they showed up right when I was pulling out of the driveway. Keep in mind, another buyer coming is a trick of the trade, but in this case, it was true, and I had to be the one to tell them the Suburban was sold. Tip number 4, beware of scams. I have bought and sold most of my vehicles on Craigslist, and I've never been scammed, but you need to know what to look out for. Pick a price range and spend some time browsing a day's worth of ads. Start by filtering for owner and look all those ads over, and then filter for dealer and look through those ads. This will enable you to see the difference between them so you can be on the lookout for curbed vehicles, and it will help you realize what looks right and what does not. Also, never provide any money up front and always meet in a public place. Many police departments have space set aside to conduct these kinds of transactions. Our ad looks fine, and I don't have any concerns at this point. Tip number 5, talk to qualify. It is fine to communicate initially via text or email, but the second step should always be speaking with the seller to determine whether it is worth pursuing. The call should serve two purposes. One is to assess the seller to determine whether it's someone you want to do business with, and the second purpose is to obtain more information about the vehicle, particularly if there's anything not in the ad you should know about before proceeding. You can't see it, but this ad says to call, and it lists a phone number, so that is what you should do. Tip number 6, make a list. Write all your questions down before you call the seller or view a vehicle, and be sure to get a straight answer on all of them. Your list should include questions based on your research of the vehicle, particularly as it relates to common issues or repairs. Regarding our truck, this generation of Chevy trucks was prone to premature failure of the intake manifold gasket, so you'd want to be on the lookout for oil leaks, oil sheen in the coolant, and white smoke coming out the tailpipe. Tip number 7, know the history. It is fine to pay for a vehicle history report, but at a minimum, get the VIN and use the National Insurance Crime Bureau website to check whether the vehicle has been reported as stolen or a salvage title. You should also check to make sure the VIN matches the title when you inspect the vehicle. If you are buying from a private party, hopefully there will be some maintenance history to review. Scan the receipts to see if any of the major maintenance, such as a timing belt, has been completed, and to determine when the next major maintenance is due. Also, look for big repair bills such as a transmission or engine rebuild, which may be a red flag, and get as much detail on those as you can. This ad did not list the VIN, so you'd want to get that info from the seller and check its history before you go and see it. Tip number 8, know the value. The seller is probably going to use Kelley Blue Book to price the vehicle, so do that too, but also check other sources such as NADA guides. Use these tools to determine what range the vehicle is priced in and set your expectations accordingly to determine whether the vehicle is priced fairly when you see it in person. Also, search a few used car websites to price similar vehicles, assess supply, and establish a fair market value range. Now, based on the values you just saw, clearly this seller is proud of their truck based on the nearly $7,000 price. I'm thinking it's not worth more than $5,000. Tip number 9, inspect thoroughly. Take your time and do not skip any of the steps of the inspection, and pay particular attention to the engine, transmission, and any known problems your research uncovered. It is your choice on whether to have a mechanic inspect the vehicle, but when you're at a lower price point, this is not always feasible. Also, you should present issues to the seller and assess their willingness to negotiate before you go for a test drive. If you bring issues to their attention and get pushback, then you are probably wasting your time with a test drive. My guess is on our truck, you're going to get some pushback based on its high price. A side note, remember what I said earlier about my love-hate relationship with the VW 1.8 liter turbo engine? Well, the only used vehicle I ever had inspected before I bought it was an Audi TT with the 1.8 liter turbo engine, and it blew up. So take that for what it's worth. To assist you with doing your own inspection, you can download my Suburban Inspection Checklist for free at suburbancamping.com. And while it is specific to the Suburban, you will find most of it applies to any vehicle. Tip number 10, silence is golden. When you inspect the vehicle, make conversation with the seller for a few minutes as you assess overall condition, and then ask the seller for some uninterrupted time to fully check out the vehicle. It is difficult to focus on what you need to look for when someone else is talking. And keep in mind, they may be talking just to distract you from an issue. Tip number 11, negotiate. High retail means the vehicle needs absolutely no work. Not a dent or scratch, nothing needs to be repaired, and nothing such as lights, brakes, tires, etc. need to be replaced. If anything needs to be repaired or replaced and it is not already reflected in the price, then the price should be reduced accordingly. Your goal is to purchase a vehicle on the low end of the applicable fair market value range, but a great deal would be to buy at or closer to the wholesale value. There is a lot of negotiating to do on this truck. And finally, tip number 12, walk away. Always go with your gut, and if something does not feel right, either with the seller or the vehicle, walk away from the deal. Also, smoke out the tailpipe and any warning light lit up on the dash, no matter how easy it is to get fixed, are deal breakers in my mind. Until the price comes down on this truck, there is really no reason to walk toward it. So there you have it. Those are my 12 tips for buying a used car. I hope they can help you get a good deal on a great used vehicle. And if you want to buy a used Chevy Suburban so you can use it to camp just about anywhere and be prepared for anything, please subscribe to this channel. Thank you very much.